Good afternoon. This is All India Radio. I am Valsa Williams and with me is Abhishek Mukhopadhyay with the Midday News. The headlines. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar says the government's focus is to ensure security and safe return of Indian nationals from Afghanistan. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate and lay foundation stone of various projects at historic Somnath Temple in Gujarat tomorrow virtually. Prime Minister Narendra Modi greets people on the occasion of Sanskrit Week beginning today with the aim to promote and popularize the classical language. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh launches Defence India Startup Challenge 5.0 in New Delhi through video conferencing. Calcutta High Court orders all cases in the post-poll violence in the state to be handed over to the CBI. N.K. Singh elected as the President of the Institute of Economic Growth Society. India achieves milestone in COVID testing, 50 crore tests done so far, last 10 crore tests in only 55 days. More than 56 crore 64 lakh vaccine doses of COVID-19 administered in the country so far. National COVID-19 recovery rate stands at 97.53%. Union Information and Broadcasting Minister is in Himachal Pradesh on a 5-day tour as part of his Jan Ashirwad Yatra. And in sports, a 54-member Indian contingent led by flag bearer Thangavelu Mariyappan leaves for Tokyo Paralympics Games to be held from August 24th to September 5th. As the nationwide free COVID-19 vaccination campaign at government facilities for those above 18 years is underway, we advise our young listeners to get vaccinated and also help others get vaccinated. We also advise our listeners not to lower their guard as COVID-19 remains a threat to our health. Please stay at home unless it is essential to go out and continue to follow these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact national helpline numbers 011 2397 8046 and 1075. And now the news in detail. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar has said India is very carefully following the developments in Afghanistan and India's focus is on ensuring the security and safe return of Indian nationals stranded in the war-torn country. The minister was addressing reporters at the UN Security Council stakeout after sharing an open debate on peacekeeping under India's current UNSC presidency.
Our focus is on ensuring the security in Afghanistan and the safe return of Indian nationals who are there. So that is really what has been very much the focus of my own engagements here, talking to the UN Secretary General, to other colleagues who are here, as well as with the US Secretary of State a few days ago. For us, it reflected what was a historical relationship with the Afghan people. I think that relationship with the Afghan people obviously continues, and that will guide our approach to Afghanistan in the coming days. We are looking at what is the situation, evolving situation in Kabul. Obviously, the Taliban and its representatives have come to Kabul, so I think we need to take it on from there.
Dr. Jaishankar arrived in New York on Monday as the UN Security Council held an emergency meeting on the situation in Afghanistan. It is for the second time in just over 10 days that the powerful UN body met under India's presidency for the month of August to discuss the situation in the war-torn country. Earlier, the External Affairs Minister said that UN peacekeeping missions continue to operate in challenging settings involving terrorists, armed groups and non-state actors. He said as nature of peacekeeping has become more complex, it is vital that our capabilities to secure the peacekeepers keep pace. Dr. Jaishankar said 21st century peacekeeping must be anchored in a strong ecosystem of technology and innovation that can facilitate UN peacekeeping operations in implementing their mandates in complex environments. He was chairing the UN Security Council open debate yesterday on technology and peacekeeping at the UN headquarters in New York.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate and lay the foundation stone of various projects worth 83 crore rupees at the historic Somnath Temple in Gujarat tomorrow through video conference. Prime Minister Modi is the chairman of the Sri Somnath Trust, which manages the affairs of the world-famous temple located in Prabhas Patan town in Gir Somnath district. Secretary of the Trust, Praveen Lahiri, said Mr. Modi will inaugurate 3 projects and also perform a virtual groundbreaking ceremony for the Parvati temple coming up near the main temple at a cost of 30 crore rupees. The event will be organized in the Ram Mandir auditorium of the Somnath temple tomorrow. The 3 projects to be inaugurated include a 1 kilometer long Samudra Darshan walkway built at a cost of 49 crore rupees on the seashore behind the temple, a newly built museum housing ancient artifacts, and the renovated Ahilyabai Holkar temple or the old Somnath temple situated opposite the main temple. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has greeted the people on the occasion of Sanskrit Week beginning today. Sanskrit Week has been celebrated from August 19 to 25th to promote and popularize this ancient language. In a message, the Prime Minister said Sanskrit language is so rich that it touches every aspect of a life. Mr. Modi said it is a matter of joy that Sanskrit language is reaching more and more people through modern technology. The Prime Minister said popularity of Sanskrit is growing across the globe. Mr. Modi expressed confidence that Sanskrit Week will generate new interest and enthusiasm among people and play an important role in spreading the Sanskrit language.
Defence Minister Rajnath Singh today launched the 5th edition of Defence India Startup Challenge DISC 5.0. The minister said there is neither shortage of talent nor lack of demand for talent in the country.
हमारे देश में न ही टैलेंट की कमी है, न ही टैलेंट की डिमांड की कमी है, पर किसी कॉमन प्लेटफॉर्म के अभाव में इन दोनों का ही मिलान नहीं हो पाता। आईडेक्स प्लेटफॉर्म इस कमी को पूरा करने में काफी हद तक सफल हुआ है, पर यह प्रयास हमारी इंडस्ट्रीज को भी इनोवेशन, रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट की एक मजबूत नींव प्रदान करता है। आईडेक्स जैसी पहल हमारे युवा, एकेडमिक जगत, रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट, स्टार्टअप्स और हमारी सेनाओं के बीच एक कड़ी बनाती है।
The Defence Minister said IDEX for 4G is also a similar initiative which gives an opportunity to the service personnel to showcase their talent in these fields.
आईडेक्स फॉर फौजी हमारे सर्विस पर्सनल को इन क्षेत्रों में अपना टैलेंट दिखाने का एक अवसर प्रदान करती है, यानी अपनी समग्रता में यह हमारी आत्मनिर्भरता के लक्ष्य को प्राप्त करने में लगातार सहायक बन रहा है। आज डिस्क 5 का लॉन्च होना आत्मनिर्भरता की ओर रक्षा क्षेत्र के बढ़ते हुए कदम और युवाओं और उद्यमियों में डिस्क की लोकप्रियता को एक साथ दर्शाता है। डिफेंस और एरोस्पेस सेक्टर में इनोवेशन को बढ़ावा देने और 300 से अधिक स्टार्टअप्स को सपोर्ट करने के लिए अगले 5 वर्षों में लगभग 500 करोड़ रुपयों का बजट अभी अनुमोदित किया गया है।
The Defence Research and Development Organization DRDO has developed an advanced trap technology to safeguard fighter aircraft of the Indian Air Force IAF against hostile radar threats. Trap is a critical defence technology used to protect fighter aircraft from hostile radar threats. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has lauded the DRDO, IAF and the industry for indigenous development of this critical technology, terming it as one more step of DRDO towards Atmanirbhar Bharat in strategic defence technologies.
The Calcutta High Court today ordered that all cases in the post-poll violence in West Bengal to be handed over to the Central Bureau of Investigation. A larger bench of 5 judges headed by Chief Justice Rajesh Bindal ruled the court monitored CBI probe into the incidents and setting up of an SIT for investigation with senior officers from West Bengal cadre as a part of the team. A number of petitioners had moved the High Court earlier this year alleging widespread post-poll violence in the state after the Trinamool Congress's return to power on May 2nd. BJP today came down heavily on the West Bengal government's following Calcutta High Court's verdict to conduct CBI inquiry into the post-poll violence in the state. Briefing Midday New Delhi, party spokesperson Gaurav Bhatia, while citing the observations of the court, said the Mamata Banerjee's government has failed to fulfill its constitutional responsibilities. He alleged that the state police were used to shield criminals and fulfill political ambition by the ruling party. Welcoming the decision, the state unit president of the BJP, Dilip Ghosh, said they want the people to get justice. On the other hand, ruling party Trinamool Congress refused to comment on the issue. Party spokesperson Kunal Ghosh said the leadership will react after analyzing the High Court order.
The Union government has provided over 58 crore 31 lakh COVID vaccine doses to states and union territories so far. It assured that more than 81 lakh 10,000 vaccine doses will be received by the states and union territories in the coming days. More than 38 lakh unutilized COVID vaccine doses are still available with the states and union territories to be administered. More than 56 crore 64 lakh doses of COVID-19 vaccine have been administered in the country so far under the nationwide vaccination drive. Over 56 lakh 36,000 vaccine doses were administered to eligible beneficiaries in the country during the last 24 hours. The country has reported 36,401 new cases of COVID-19 in the same period. The ministry said a total of 39,157 patients also recovered from the infection during the last 24 hours. The recovery rate stands currently at 97.53%, which is the highest since March 2020. Daily positivity rate is at 1.94%, which is less than 3% for the last 24 days.
India has achieved the milestone of conducting 50 crore tests of COVID-19 samples. The Indian Council of Medical Research, ICMR, said that India has achieved the milestone of the last 10 crore tests in only 55 days. On the 21st of July, India had tested 45 crore COVID-19 samples, which reached the 50 crore mark yesterday. This has been enabled by rapidly increasing testing infrastructure and capacity across the country. ICMR has been enhancing COVID-19 testing capability across the country by expanding and diversifying testing capacity by leveraging technology and facilitating innovation in affordable diagnostic kits. You are listening to the Midday News on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar says the government's focus is to ensure security and safe return of Indian nationals from Afghanistan. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate and lay foundation stone of various projects at historic Somnath Temple in Gujarat tomorrow virtually. Prime Minister Narendra Modi greets people on the occasion of Sanskrit Week beginning today with the aim to promote and popularize the classical language. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh launches Defence India Startup Challenge 5.0 in New Delhi through video conferencing. Calcutta High Court orders all cases in the post-poll violence in the state to be handed over to CBI. N.K. Singh elected as the President of the Institute of Economic Growth Society. India achieves milestone in COVID testing, 50 crore tests done so far, last 10 crore tests in only 55 days. More than 56 crore 64 lakh vaccine doses of COVID-19 administered in the country so far. National COVID-19 recovery rate stands at 97.53%. Union Information and Broadcasting Minister is in Himachal Pradesh on a 5-day tour as part of his Jan Ashirwad Yatra. And in sports, a 54-member Indian contingent led by flag bearer Thangavelu Mariyappan leaves for Tokyo Paralympics Games to be held from August 24th to September 5th. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on a Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो खुद से वादा करते हैं, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे.
Welcome back to the Midday News. Power and New and Renewable Energy Minister R.K. Singh has said that the National Green Hydrogen Mission is going to be a game changer in the future. In an exclusive interview with All India Radio News, he said adoption of green hydrogen will reduce the country's carbon footprint and also cut down dependence on import of fossil fuels.
Green hydrogen is made by renewable energy. We have plentiful sun, so it will be entirely made in India. If we replace the fossil fuels like petroleum with green hydrogen, then that means our fossil fuel consumption will come down, our carbon footprint will come down. That is the objective. So we are beginning with replacing imported ammonia with green ammonia being made in India. Similarly, we are going to blend green hydrogen in PNG, piped natural gas, and CNG, compressed natural gas. We propose to start using green green hydrogen for mobility, especially heavy mobility. We propose to use green hydrogen for refining petroleum. Right now, that hydrogen is extracted from imported natural gas. So we are replacing that.
The Road Transport and Highways Ministry has issued notification related to rules for electronic monitoring and enforcement of road safety. The rules specify the detailed provisions for placement of electronic enforcement devices, including speed camera, closed-circuit television camera, speed gun, body-wearable camera, dashboard camera, and automatic number plate recognition.
In Madhya Pradesh, Jan Ashirwad Yatra led by Union Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia reached Raverkheri in Khargone district yesterday. A report.
Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan said that Mother India has given birth to many heroes. Bajirao Peshwa is one among them. Chief Minister said that a state government has made a complete roadmap for the restoration and expansion of this heroic land. Union Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia said that he is emotionally attached to Raverkheri. He also urged that Maratha crafts should be used in the entire construction to be undertaken at Raverkheri. Jan Ashirwad Yatras are being organized by state BJP. It will conclude on August 24 in the state. Pooja P. Vardhan, AIR News, Bhopal.
Information and Broadcasting Minister Anurag Singh Thakur today led the Jan Ashirwad Yatra for Himachal Pradesh from Himachal Bhavan in Chandigarh. The Jan Ashirwad Yatra is moving from Parwanu, Dharampur, Solan, Kandaghat, Soghi and will reach Peterhav at Shimla in the evening. Our Chandigarh correspondent reports the State President of Bharatiya Janata Party, Suresh Kashyap, and BJP workers are accompanying Sri Anurag Thakur in the Yatra. Before the start of the Yatra at Chandigarh, Mr. Anurag Thakur said the Prime Minister Narendra Modi wants the Member of Parliaments and all newly inducted ministers to go to the people and interact with them and tell them about the vision of the government and the party's version on various issues. MSME Minister Narayan Rane began his Jan Ashirwad Yatra from Mumbai today. He was welcomed by the BJP leaders and office bearers, and a sense of confidence and enthusiasm was seen among them at the time of the beginning of the Jan Ashirwad Yatra. Narayan Rane addressed the gathering and embarked on the Yatra. Leader of the opposition in the Legislative Assembly, Devendra Fadnavis, Leader of the opposition in the Legislative Council, Praveen Darikar, and other prominent leaders and many party workers were present on the occasion.
Mr. N.K. Singh has been elected as the President of the Institute of Economic Growth, IEG Society. Mr. Singh earlier was the Chairman of the 15th Finance Commission. Mr. Singh succeeds Dr. Manmohan Singh, former Prime Minister of the country. In his letter to the IEG Director, Dr. Manmohan Singh wrote that the institution has inspired generations of researchers, practitioners and policymakers in the field of development and public policy. This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts. Azadi Ka Safar every day with All India Radio from Monday the 16th of August. As part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, News Services Division of All India Radio brings to you the story of glorious struggle and sacrifices of freedom fighters on 100.1 FM Gold channel in the English news bulletins at 8:30 AM, 2 PM and 8:30 PM. Stay tuned. Let's listen now to our special segment Azadi Ka Safar.
आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव। आजादी का सफर with AIR News। India's glorious fight for freedom is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the valiant struggle every day. In today's episode, we will briefly explore the lives of two great Indians from the southern part of our country, Dheerar Satyamurthy and P. Krishna Pillai.
Today is the birth anniversary of the brave heart Sundara Shastri Satyamurthy. An orator par excellence, S. Satyamurthy hailed from Tirumayam in the princely state of Pudukkottai of the present-day Tamil Nadu. Born on 19th of August 1887, he had a traditional upbringing. After completing education from Madras, he practiced as a lawyer for a brief period. But the quest for freedom made him become a rebel with a cause.
என்று தணியும் இந்த சுதந்திர தாகம் என்று மடியும் எங்கள் அடிமையின் மோகம் என்று மடியும் எங்கள் அடிமையின் மோகம்.
He actively took part in the protests against the colonial rulers, be it partition of Bengal, Rowlatt Act, Jallianwala Bagh massacre or Simon Commission. Satyamurthy was at the forefront.
When Satyamurthy became the mayor of Madras in 1939, the city was facing acute water scarcity. A visionary politician, Satyamurthy pressed upon the need for building a reservoir in Pundi, about 50 kilometers west of the city, to augment the water supply. Today also, it remains the only reservoir of water for Chennai. Satyamurthy was also a champion of fine arts, especially Carnatic music. He was instrumental in setting up the Music Academy of Madras.
He actively participated in the Swadeshi movement and the Quit India movement and was arrested by the British in 1942. Satyamurthy was put on trial and was sentenced to rigorous imprisonment in Amravati jail. During the journey, he hurt his spinal cord and eventually succumbed to injuries on 28th March 1943 at General Hospital, Madras. Sundara Shastri Satyamurthy was also the political mentor of senior Congress politician K. Kamaraj.
Today is also the birth and death anniversary of P. Krishna Pillai, a revolutionary freedom fighter associated with Vaikama Satyagraha, Salt Satyagraha and Guruvayur temple movement.
Although one of the founders of the left movement in the present-day Kerala, Krishna Pillai began his career in the Indian National Congress, first as a Gandhian and then as a Congress socialist. He was an active volunteer of Vaikam Satyagraha for temple entry in 1924, which was led by E.V. Ramasamy. Vaikam temple entry movement was against untouchability and caste discrimination. The success of the long-drawn protest led to the opening of temples to all the people of Hindu religion.
कौसल्या सुप्रजा राम पूर्वा संध्या प्रवर्तते उत्तिष्ठ नरशार्दूल कर्तव्यं दैवमान्धिकम्.
He took part in the Salt Satyagraha March from Kozhikode to Payanur in 1930 and braved the brutal blows of the British to hold afloat the tricolour in true Gandhian style. In 1931, he became the first non-Brahmin to ring the temple bell of the Guruvayur temple.
By 1936, Krishna Pillai, who until then had initially concentrated his political activities in the Malabar region, expanded it to Cochin and Travancore. In 1938, he organized the famous workers' strike in Allapura, which turned out to be a great success and an inspiring factor behind the Punnapura Vayalar struggle of 1946. He was a great organizer who succeeded in reaching out to the oppressed masses of Kerala and making them aware of their rights.
At the time of his untimely death, on August the 19th, 1948, of snake bite, Krishna Pillai was perhaps the most familiar face in the homes of the labourers and peasants of Kerala, a leader known for his courage and dynamism, humaneness and uncompromising stand against exploitation and oppression. That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar AIR News ke Sang. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu has paid tributes to the freedom fighter and distinguished parliamentarian Dhirar Satyamurthy on his birth anniversary today. Mr. Naidu said that Satyamurthy was an exceptional orator, passionate educationist and dedicated social worker. Mr. Naidu said his selfless service to the nation will always be remembered.
President Ramnath Kovind paid homage to former President of India, Dr. Shankar Dayal Sharma, on his birth anniversary at Rashtrapati Bhavan today. The President and officials of Rashtrapati Bhavan paid floral tributes in front of the portrait of Dr. Shankar Dayal Sharma. In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, an encounter broke out between terrorists and the security forces in Thana Mandi town of Rajouri district in the morning today. The encounter broke out in Kariot Kalas area in the outskirts of Thana Mandi town, where a cordon and search operation was launched by the security forces last evening. Today, the encounter, one JCO of the Rashtra Rifles suffered bullet injuries. It is reported that the JCO was immediately evacuated to the nearest medical facility, but later succumbed to injuries. Flood situation continues to be grim in Bihar. Over 40 lakh people spread over 26 districts including Patna, Katihar, Samastipur and Munger are reeling under the impact of floods. Chief Minister Nitish Kumar said the state government is closely monitoring the situation and all possible help is being provided to the affected people.
The Indian athletes for the upcoming Tokyo Paralympics, including flag bearer Thangavelu Mariyappan, left for the Games yesterday. The 54-member contingent was accorded a warm send-off at Delhi's Indira Gandhi International Airport by officials of Sports Ministry, Sports Authority of India and Paralympic Committee of India. The Paralympic Games will be held from the 24th of this month to the 5th of September. India will start their campaign from the 25th of August with para table tennis, where Bhavina Patel and Sonal Patel will be in action. In an effort to restore the sporting culture in the state, the Uttar Pradesh government will felicitate the Tokyo Olympics medal winners and contingent members of Uttar Pradesh at Lucknow this afternoon. Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath will felicitate them with cash prizes in an event. The government will give cash prizes of 2 crore rupees to the gold medal winners, 1.5 crore rupees to silver medalists and 1 crore rupees to the bronze medalists. Those who stood at 4th place and did a better show will also be honoured with 50 lakh rupees. The coaches will also be honoured. A total of more than 50 athletics will be felicitated during the program. The players to be felicitated are Neeraj Chopra, Mirabai Chanu, Ravi Daya, Bajrang Punia, Lovelina Borgohain, PV Sindhu and Indian men's hockey team. The members of the Indian hockey men's team that won the bronze medal in Tokyo will get 1 crore rupees each. The Indian women's hockey team members will get 50 lakh rupees each for the best ever performance in the Olympics. 10 players of Uttar Pradesh, including Lalit Kumar Upadhyay and Vandana Kataria, who are part of men's and women's hockey teams respectively in the Olympics, will also be honoured.
An earthquake of 3.6 magnitude on the Richter scale jolted the Katra town of the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir early this morning. According to the National Center for Seismology, the earthquake hit 54 kilometers southeast of Katra in Jammu and Kashmir with a depth of 5 kilometers at 5:08 IST. No casualty or damage to any property has been reported so far. More details are awaited.
Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for today. National capital Delhi will have a generally cloudy sky with light rain or drizzle. It recorded 29 degrees Celsius as minimum temperature. Maximum will be around 37. Mumbai is predicted to have a generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. Minimum and maximum temperature will hover between 23 and 30 degrees. Chennai is likely to have a generally cloudy sky with light rain. Temperature will vary between 27 and 35 degrees. Kolkata will have a generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. Minimum temperature in the city was 27 degrees. Maximum will be around 31. And now before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. External Affairs Minister S. Shankar says the government's focus is to ensure security and safe return of Indian nationals from Afghanistan. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate and lay foundation stone of various projects at historic Somnath Temple in Gujarat tomorrow virtually. Prime Minister Narendra Modi greets people on the occasion of Sanskrit Week beginning today with the aim to promote and popularize the classical language. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh launches Defence India Startup Challenge 5.0 in New Delhi through video conferencing. Calcutta High Court orders all cases in the post-poll violence in the state to be handed over to CBI. N.K. Singh elected as President of the Institute of Economic Growth Society. India achieves milestone in COVID testing, 50 crore tests done so far, last 10 crore tests in only 55 days. More than 56 crore 64 lakh vaccine doses of COVID-19 administered in the country so far. National COVID-19 recovery rate stands at 97.53%. Union R&B Minister is in Himachal Pradesh on 5-day tour as part of his Jan Ashirwad Yatra, and in sports, 54-member Indian contingent leaves for Tokyo Paralympics, games to be held from August 24 to September 5th. And with that, we end the midday news.